जय गोपी जन पालवा जय गिरिधारी जय गिरिधारी Vallabha Jaya Girivardhari Jaya Girivardhari Jaya Vraja Janaranjana Jaya Jasoda Nandana Jaya Vraja Janaranjana Jaya Jamuna Tirabana Chari Jaya Kunja Vihari Jaya Jamuna Tirabana Chari Jaya Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Vihari Jai Jai Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Vihari 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 Jaya रस बिहारी जय रस बिहारी जय रस बिहारी जय रस बिहारी हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम राम हरे 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 कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम राम हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम हरे राम हरे 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 कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम राम हरे हरे Hare Krishna, Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Radhe Shyam, Jaya Radhe Shyam, Jaya Radhe Shyam, Jaya Radhe Shyam. Jaya Krishna Balaram, Jaya Krishna Balaram, Jaya Krishna Balaram, Jaya Krishna Balaram. Nitai Gaur Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Jaya Jaya Prabhupāda, Prabhupāda. Jai Prabhupāda, Prabhupāda. Jai Jai Gurudev, 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 Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajakajarya Astatadasita Sriman, His Divine Grace Śrīla Vaicharanavinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupāda ki Jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnavindi ki Jai, Namacharya Śrīla Haridas Thakur ki Jai, Prem se kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktavinda ki Jai. ब्रजभूमि श्री वृंदावन धाम की जय, श्री नवदीप धाम की जय, गंगामयी मोनमयी की जय, तुलसी महारानी भक्ति देवी की जय, श्रीमती राधा रानी की जय, श्री श्री राधे श्याम सुंदर की जय, ललित महारानी की जय, विशाखा महारानी की जय, सर्व सखीगण की जय, सामवेद भक्त वृंद की जय, हरिनाम संकीर्तन की जय, ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय, गौर प्रेमानंदी हरि हरि हरि। Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda ki jai means equal glorification to all the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. Just in case you were wondering what that meant. So do we have a Sanskrit reader? Otherwise I can struggle along and try, but how about you, Ram? There's a mic there. Give him the radio mic, please. Here. Turn the volume down some. Vakta Karta Virakshita Pratipam Acharat Brahman Haradara Vimarshanam Sri Parikshit Uvacha Samstapanaya Dharmasya Paramita Rasyacha Parikshit Uvacha Astotarasya cha
Avatirnomi Bhagavan
Bhagavan
Ansena Jagadishvara
Sakatam Dharma Setuna Bhakta Karta Virakshita Pratipam Acharat Brahman Paradara Vimarshanam Shri Parikshit Uvacha Samstapanaya Dharmasya
Shri Parikshit Maharaj said, Samstapanaya for the establishment Dharmasya of religious principles, Prasmaya for the subduing, Itarasya of the opposite, Cha and Avatirna descending on this earth. Indeed, Bhagavan, Supreme Personality of Godhead. Amsena, this plenary expansion. Shri Balaram, Jagat, of the entire universe. Ishvara, the Lord. Sa, Ye, Katam, Al. Dharma Setuna, of the restrictive codes of moral behavior. Bhakta, the original speaker. Karta, the executor. Abhirakshita, the protector. Pratipam, contrary. Acharat, behave. Brahman, O Brahmana. Shukadeva Goswami. Hara, of others. Dara, the wise. Abhimarshanam, touching.
Parikshit Maharaj said, O Brahmana, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the Lord of the universe, has descended to this earth along with his plenary portion to destroy irreligion and re-establish religious principles. Indeed, he is the original speaker, follower, and guardian of moral laws. How then could he have violated them by touching other men's wives? Purport by the humble servants of His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Śrīla Prabhupāda, with reference to Vishwanath Chakrabarti Thakur's commentary. Although it's not stated, but it is so. As Shukadeva Goswami was speaking, King Parikshit noticed that some persons, listen very carefully to this, because this will establish, this is the second time, the first time I think was in the Rasa Dance introduction chapter, and the second time, this is the second time, so 2 times in this Rasa Panchadhyaya, Vishwanath Chakrabarti Thakur is telling that in the assembly of personages who were hearing the Bhagavad Gita from the lips of Shukadeva Goswami, there were other than devotees sitting amongst them. So this is an important consideration, and we will discuss this considerably this morning. As Shukadeva Goswami was speaking, King Parikshit noticed that some persons seated in the assembly on the bank of the Ganges were harboring doubt about the Lord's activities. These doubtful persons were karmis, means materialist, karmis, jnanis, and others who were not devotees of the Lord. To clear up their doubts, King Parikshit asked this question on their behalf. So this is a very important point that must be addressed, and it has to be understood properly, and we will see how Srila Prabhupada deals with this in a minute. But I want to include in our conversation the whole question of Maharaj Parikshit, which will include the next verse only, and then Shukadeva Goswami will answer the question. So, if Ram Roy would kindly read verse 28. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Apnikamo yadupati vidyavan vajikuchitam kim abhiprayati anna samsayam chidisumvita.
O faithful upholder of vows, please destroy our doubt by explaining to us what purpose the self-satisfied Lord of the Yadus had in mind when he behaved so contemptibly. Purport. It is clear to the enlightened that these doubts will arise in the minds and hearts of persons unfamiliar with the transcendental pastimes of the Lord. Therefore, since time immemorial, great sages and enlightened kings like Parikshit Maharaj have openly raised these questions to provide the authoritative answer for all posterity. Om Agyanatimirandasya Gananjana Shalakaya Chakshua Manitam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Gadamayam Dati Swapatantikam. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jigapathe Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gorangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhana Sudidevi Pranamami Hari Priye Shri Radhika Pranasamam Kanyasim Vishaka Kachikishata Sostavam Lilamantino Charitanga Madhurim Anangapurvam Pranamami Manjarim Vanchakalpatrubhyascha Kripasindubhyaivacha Patitanam Pavinivyo Vaishnavevyo Namo Namaha. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaur Bhaktivinoda. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jai Shri Sri Nitai Gaur, Shri Sri Radhe Shyam, Shri Sri Krishna Balaram Ki Jai. Jai Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. This is a very nice piece which was written by Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur called Anuraga Vali, which is very, very sweet and which gives the essence of the mood that the Rupanuga Vaishnavas cherish. Sometimes it is said that Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is the incarnation or reincarnation of Rupa Goswami. So he should know conclusively what is the purport of the, let's say, Rupanuga Siddhanta, Gaudiya Siddhanta. Please give me millions of bodies and millions of mouths in each body. By your mercy, please place millions of tongues in each mouth. O Lord, may your millions of transcendental qualities dance on those tongues. What is the use of a soul that does not have millions of bodies? What is the use of a body that does not have millions of mouths? What is the use of a mouth that does not have millions of tongues? What is the use of a tongue that does not chant your millions of names? O Lord, may I perpetually have hundreds of bodies, and may each body have thousands of mouths. May each mouth have millions of tongues, and may each tongue chant millions of your holy names. O Madhava, whenever, wherever, or whoever chants your holy names and pastimes, there may I with millions of ears eternally drink your nectar. May I have millions of ears and millions upon millions of tongues. Then, O Lord, I will eternally and happily hear and chant your pastimes. May I have millions of ears, millions of eyes, millions of hearts and minds, and millions of tongues, hearing about, seeing, and embracing the ocean of your handsomeness. I will drink its sweetness. May I have millions of eyes, ears, noses, tongues, and chest, so that I may continually taste the nectar of your handsomeness, your sweet sounds, sweet fragrance, and your embrace. May I have millions of feet to go to your side. May I have millions of hands to serve you. May I have millions of intelligences to teach that service to others. O Lord, please grant me these boons. This is just to set the mood a little bit. From Ujjvala Nilamani, there's a very nice verse that I always appreciated. O flute, expert at drinking the nectar of the breath from Mukunda's smiling lotus mouth, I offer my respectful obeisances unto you. I beg you, when you touch the charming bimba fruit of Krishna's lips, please whisper in his ear how I'm burning with the desire to attain him. And from Chaitanya Charitamrita, something which may sound like it's not corresponding directly to what we just read, but you should try to understand the purpose of my presentation of this point in terms of the subject matter that we're about to discuss. This is from Madhya Lila, chapter 23, text 104. This is Mahaprabhu instructing Sanatana Goswami. Establish devotional service to Lord Krishna and Radharani in Vrindavan. You should also compile Bhakti Shastras to preach the Bhakti cult from Vrindavan. And the purport is very significant. Srila Prabhupada here is giving very, very profound and valuable instructions, especially to the devotees who are living at Sri Vrindavan Dham, here at the Krishna Balaram Mandir in particular. This Krishna consciousness movement continues the tradition of the 6 Goswamis, especially Srila Sanatana Goswami and Srila Rupa Goswami. Serious students of this Krishna consciousness movement must understand their great responsibility to preach the cult of Vrindavan, pure devotional service to the Lord, all over the world. We now have a nice temple in Vrindavan, and serious students should take advantage of it. I am very hopeful that some of our students can take up this responsibility and render the best service to humanity by educating people in Krishna consciousness. So, if you don't mind, I would like to now refer, although I've done so in one previous class some months ago, but because this shloka and these shlokas and purports directly deal with the subject matter, whereas before I was basically introducing the idea so that people would not have too many misgivings about the subject matter. But now I think that it's extremely important for us to take a good long look at what Srila Prabhupada has to say. And mind you, because perhaps I will speak on the last verse in this shloka, if Krishna desires it to be so, which deals with the principle that by hearing and chanting these topics of Krishna Katha, dealing with Krishna's dealings with the gopis of Braja, that it has purifying effects and not only delivers one to the topmost standard of Krishna consciousness, but simultaneously frees one from the contamination, the hridrog, the heart's disease of lust. Srila Prabhupada writes in his introduction to Krishna book, and then we'll go forward to his discussion on these very verses in the Rasalila chapter of the Krishna book, which is quite extensive. So I hope that you bear with me. As usual, the class may be a little long, but it's important subject matter, and I think that it's not uncalled for to discuss it sufficiently as to clear away some of the doubts in some people's minds about our discussing these topics in the Bhagavad class at the onset. The pastimes of the Lord are generally heard and relished by liberated souls. Those who are conditioned souls are interested in reading stories from the material activities of some common man. Although similar narrations describing the transcendental activities of the Lord are found in the Srimad Bhagavatam and other Puranas, the conditioned souls still prefer to study ordinary narrations. They are not so interested in studying the narrations of the pastimes of the Lord Krishna. And yet, the descriptions of the pastimes of Lord Krishna are so attractive that they are relishable for all classes of men. There are 3 classes of men in this world. While we're reading this, please remember that Vishwanath in the purport is disclosing the fact that there were karmis, jnanis, and other non-devotees seated in the assembly when he himself, who is you can say the supreme Bhagavad Acharya, and who would know best how to judge time and circumstance in the matter of discussing the intimate pastimes of Krishna with the gopis. Yet we see, according to our Acharyas, that there were materialists seated in the assembly who were unfamiliar, what to speak of having, a strong faith in the Leelas of Krishna. They were actually, in fact, unfamiliar with the Leelas of Krishna. So, as mentioned in the second purport, that for all posterity, devotees, since time immemorial, have openly raised the question concerning these topics in order to create faith in the, hearts of ordinary conditioned souls. So please keep this in mind when we're reading these passages written by Śrīla Prabhupāda. These passages are directly with reference to Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's purports on these verses. And we have the purports to refer to confirm this point. Although I will not present them in this class, I may present them at a later date. And yet the descriptions of the pastimes of Lord Krishna are so attractive that they are relishable for all classes of men. There are 3 classes of men in this world. One class consists of liberated souls, another consists of those who are trying to be liberated, and the third consists of materialistic men. Whether one is liberated or trying to be liberated, or even grossly materialistic, the pastimes of Lord Krishna are worth studying. Liberated souls have no interest in materialistic activities. The impersonalist theory that after liberation one becomes inactive and need not hear anything does not prove that a liberated person is actually inactive. A living soul cannot be inactive. He is active either in the conditioned state or in the liberated state. A diseased person, for example, is also active, but his activities are all painful. The same person, when freed from the diseased condition, is still active, but in the healthy condition, the activities are full of pleasure. Similarly, impersonalists only seek to get free from the diseased conditional activities, but they have no information of activities in the healthy condition. Those who are actually liberated and in full knowledge take to hearing the activities of Krishna. Such engagement is pure spiritual activity. It is essential for persons who are actually liberated to hear about the pastimes of Krishna. That is the supreme, relishable subject matter for one in the liberated state. Also, if persons who are trying to be liberated hear such narrations as the Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam, then their path of liberation becomes very clear. The Bhagavad Gita is the preliminary study of Srimad Bhagavatam. By studying the Gita, one becomes fully conscious of the position of Lord Krishna, and when he is situated at the lotus feet of Krishna,
he understands the narrations of Krishna as described in the Srimad Bhagavatam. Lord Chaitanya has therefore advised his followers that their business is to propagate Krishna Katha, just as we've read here in the Chaitanya Charitamrita purport. Krishna Katha means narrations about Krishna. There are two Krishna Kathas, narrations spoken by Krishna and narrations spoken about Krishna. The Bhagavad Gita is the narration or the philosophy on the science of God spoken by Krishna himself. Srimad Bhagavatam is the narration about the activities and transcendental pastimes of Krishna. Both are Krishna Katha. It is the order of Lord Chaitanya that Krishna Katha should be spread all over the world, because if the conditioned souls suffering under the pangs of material existence take to Krishna Katha, then their path of liberation will be open and clear. The purpose of presenting this book, we can also say the purpose of presenting the Bhagavatam, because this Krishna book is the summary study of the 10th canto of the Bhagavatam. So anyhow, Prabhupada is saying the purpose of presenting this book is primarily to induce people to understand Krishna or Krishna Katha, because thereby they can become freed from material bondage. This Krishna Katha, listen up now, this Krishna Katha will also be very much appealing to the most materialistic persons, because Krishna's pastimes with the gopis are exactly like the loving affairs between young girls and boys within this material world. Actually, the sex feeling found in human society is not unnatural, because this same sex feeling is there in the original personality of Godhead. The pleasure potency is called Srimati Radharani. The attraction of loving affairs on the basis of sex feeling is the original feature of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and we, the conditioned souls, being part and parcel of the Supreme, have such feelings also, but they are experienced within a perverted, minute condition. Therefore, when those who are after sex life, here it is again, therefore, when those who are after sex life in this material world hear about Krishna's pastimes with the gopis, he's not talking now about liberated souls sitting in an assembly of only highly elevated Paramahamsas hearing about Krishna's pastimes with the gopis, but he's referring to this point that there were karmis and jnanis, etc., seated in the assembly at the time when Shukadeva Goswami was speaking to Maharaj Parikshit. Therefore, when those who are after sex life in this material world hear about Krishna's pastimes with the gopis, they will relish transcendental pleasure, although it appears to be materialistic. The advantage will be that they will gradually be elevated to the spiritual platform. In the Bhagavatam, it is stated that if one hears the pastimes of Lord Krishna with the gopis from authorities with submission, then he will be promoted to the transcendental platform of loving service to the Lord, and the material disease of lust within the heart will be completely vanquished. In other words, such hearing will counteract material sex life. This book, which is filled with Krishna Katha, will thus appeal equally to the liberated souls and to persons who are trying to be liberated, as well as to the gross, conditioned materialist. According to the statement of Maharaj Parikshit, who heard about Krishna from Shukadeva Goswami, Krishna Katha is equally applicable to every human being, whatever condition of life he is in. Surely everyone will appreciate it to the highest magnitude. But Parikshit Maharaj also warned that persons who are simply engaged in killing animals and in killing themselves may not be very much attracted to Krishna Katha. And he goes on to explain how it is that the persons who were hunters and opening slaughterhouses like butchers, etc., that they may not be very attracted by Krishna Katha. But I doubt seriously that many of us in this assembly are hunters and butchers to start with. So we might consider that. Some ask that if Krishna is self-sufficient, why did he at all manifest the pastimes with the gopis, which are disturbing to the so-called moralist of the world? The answer is that such activities show special mercy to the fallen conditioned souls. The gopis are expansions of his internal energy, but because Krishna wanted to exhibit the Rasa Leela, they appeared as ordinary human beings. In the material world, pleasure is ultimately manifest in the sex attraction between man and woman. The man lives simply to be attracted by a woman, and the woman lives simply to be attracted by men. That is the basic principle of material life. As soon as these attractions are combined, people become more and more implicated in material existence. In order to show them, who are attracted to mundane sexology, in order to show them special favor, Krishna exhibited this Rasa Leela dance. It is just to captivate the conditioned soul. Since they are very much attracted by sex, and they enjoy, since they are very much attracted by sex, they can enjoy the same life with Krishna and thus become liberated from material condition. In the second canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam, Maharaj Parikshit also explains that the pastimes and activities of Lord Krishna are medicine for the conditioned souls. If they simply hear about Krishna, they become relieved of the material disease. They are addicted to material enjoyment and are accustomed to reading sex literature. But by hearing these transcendental pastimes of Krishna with the gopis, they will be relieved of material contamination. How they should hear and from whom is also explained by Shukadeva Goswami. Now listen to this point very carefully. The difficulty is that the whole world is full of Mayavadis. And when they become professional reciters of Srimad Bhagavatam, and when people, without knowing the effect of the Mayavad philosophy, hear from such persons, they become confused. Discussion of the Rasa Leela among people in general is not recommended because they are affected by the Mayavad philosophy. But if one who is advanced explains and people hear from him, certainly the hearers will be gradually elevated to the position of Krishna consciousness and liberated from material contaminated life. Certainly. If it's a question of who they're hearing from, it's not so much a question of who's hearing. It's a question of who they're hearing from. The world is full of Mayavadis, and they're preaching like anything all over the world. And they become professional reciters and serve to confuse the whole situation. So it is absolutely essential that devotees of Krishna who actually know the proper Siddhanta, who know the conclusions, the Bhagavad conclusions, in the line of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, it's essential that they stick their neck out a little bit, even though it may be a little uncomfortable. But if they stick their neck out and help people to come to the proper conclusion, to clear the misgivings, to clear the misunderstanding that people have gained by having knowingly or unknowingly associated with Mayavadi conditioned souls in their so-called presentations of Bhagavad Gita. It is a most unfortunate, let's say, affair that the Mayavadis are preaching like anything, and the devotees cower in the corner like cowards, basically, let's say, under the guise of let's say, protecting the Bhagavatam from being misunderstood by people. It's already being misunderstood by people, so the doubts have to be cleared. So preachers must present this philosophy. That's why this Krishna book was distributed by hundreds and thousands and millions all over the world, so that people could hear the pastimes of Krishna with the gopis and clarify their misunderstandings. And that's why Srila Prabhupada presented this Krishna book. So it is essential that we take the proper understanding from the right sources. Those who are coming in disciplic succession and who are preaching according to the principles of disciplic succession have every right to present all the subject matters of Srimad Bhagavatam. Although it should be noted that the same persons who were situated in the assembly when Shukadeva Goswami was speaking, they heard the 9 cantos of Bhagavatam, but still they had doubts about the subject matter, and therefore Maharaj Parikshit mercifully served to help relieve their doubts once and for all. Concerning the bestowal of devotional energy, this is an excerpt from Bhaktivinoda Thakur's Sri Chaitanya Shikshamrita. Concerning the bestowal of devotional energy by the mercy of the devotee, something should be mentioned. The power of the Prema Bhakta is unlimited, and thus the Prema Bhakta, if he is merciful, can transfer his power to any type of person. Any type of person. The Bhava Bhakta, being merciful, can instill power in the Sadhan Bhaktas or the Sadhakas so that they can assume a position similar to his own. And by the strength of his personality, the Bhava Bhakta can raise materialistic people who have gained some qualification due to previous deeds, which means that they are having some faith. They are having the inclination to hear from authorities. That is the meaning of faith, or one of the meanings of faith, to have the inclination to hear from authorities. So when the preacher will see, when the Bhava Bhakta will see that someone, even a materialistic person, is having an inclination to hear from authorities, then he can raise them to the level of ruchi. Vaidhi and Raganuga sadhakas, this is an interesting point also. Vaidhi and Raganuga sadhakas can instill faith in materialistic people who have attained qualification by previous deeds, by dint of their teaching and example. So, it's important for us to understand our, let's say, duty in, let's say, propagating or carrying on the legacy of Srila Prabhupada's preaching mission. It is important for us to understand how essential it is for us to at least be on the platform of bona fide sadhakas. We may not be premika bhaktas. That is hardly to be expected. Premika bhaktas are very, very rare. And we may not be bhavukas. So we may not be able to easily bring them, as Shukadeva Goswami could do so, bring them to the position, bring the materialist to the position of ruchi, or bring the sadhakas to the stage of bhava, it may not be possible, because if we're not on the stage of bhava, we can hardly expect to, let's say, assist another soul directly in the matter of attaining bhava. But if we are bona fide sadhakas, following the principles of the Acharya Parampara, then it is clear, as indicated by Bhaktivinoda Thakur, that it is possible for such a sadhaka to instill faith, shraddha, to plant the seed of the desire for devotional advancement, the desire for sadhu sangha, the desire for bhajan kriya. Because ultimately, what is shraddha? Krishna bhakti koile sarva karma krita hoy. This is the actual definition of shraddha. That by doing Krishna bhakti, we have no other duties to perform. All other duties are surpassed automatically by performing Krishna bhakti. So, that shraddha is characterized by sharanagati, which means to have the disposition, the intention to accept the things which are favorable for the cultivation of uttama bhakti and to reject the things which are unfavorable, etc. There are 6 symptoms. So, in the matter of preaching Krishna consciousness, in the matter of preaching, even in the matter of distributing such Krishna Katha, which includes the subject matter of Krishna's dealings with the gopis in Rasa Leela, it is quite possible, even for the sadhakas, to create the shraddhavan, to create the shraddha within the hearts of the conditioned souls, even the materialist it is mentioned. So it is our responsibility to speak in such a way as to help uplift, to show mercy. The sadhaka means madhyama adhikari, basically, or the kanishta adhikari, even, who has strong faith that the holy name and Krishna are identical, although he may not be yet completely freed from the anarthas. But primarily, the madhyama adhikari is characterized by 4 aspects of his mentality. He loves Krishna. In other words, he engages in this anukulena krishnanushilanam. He engages in the pursuit of activities which give pleasure to Krishna, being trained by the bona fide spiritual master and the teachings of the predecessor acharyas. And he makes friends with other pure devotees. There are 2 types of sadhus. One is a sadhu in perfection, and the other is a sadhu in practice. Both of them are pure devotees. So he makes friendship with other pure devotional aspirants. And he shows mercy to the innocent people and neglects the atheistic class of people. So in the matter of showing mercy to the innocent people, where's the question of showing mercy if they can't at least make them faithful? If they can't at least bring them into the fold, make them understand that Krishna's leelas, all of Krishna's leelas, because God is all good, so all of Krishna's leelas serve to surcharge the consciousness with pure spiritual acumen, which creates the revolution in the heart and makes it possible for one to go from the mundane condition of life to the transcendental position of vimukti. So it is important for us to understand this. Even if we hear from the sadhaka, who is a bona fide practitioner of pure devotional sadhana bhakti. So then we come to the point of the distinction between the Vaidika sadhaka and the Raganuga sadhaka. It's important to analyze this because it is necessary to see, let's say, the power of the distinction of the power of each in the matter of the dissemination of Braja Bhakti. As Prabhupada has made this point that we read, that he's hopeful that that some of our students can take up this responsibility and render the best service to humanity by educating people in Krishna consciousness. He's saying that serious students of this Krishna consciousness movement must understand their great responsibility to preach the cult of Vrindavan all over the world. So, in the matter of preaching the cult of Vrindavan, it should be understood that what is the cult of Vrindavan? The cult of Vrindavan is the cult of Vrindavan Bhakti, Braja Bhakti. That is the cult of Vrindavan. The culture of unalloyed Kevala Bhakti, Sri Guru Charan Padma, Kevala Bhakti Sadma. And furthermore, Ye Prasade Puri Sarva Asha. By His mercy, all of one's desires are fulfilled. It is not that we should not desire to follow in the footsteps of the denizens of Braja. It is our, let's say, utmost responsibility to recognize the need to go in that direction. Even from the beginning of our culture of Krishna consciousness, it is possible to awaken within our heart the lobha, or the greed, to follow in the footsteps of the Brajbasis if we are blessed by a Rasik Vaishnava. If we have the chance to hear from the Rasik Vaishnava. Generally, lobha does not manifest in the heart until the heart is nirguna. Nirguna means free from material qualities. Generally, that stage is seen to be at the onset of anarthana vritti, when one will come to the Nishta platform. It doesn't mean that he's actually completely freed from the influence of the three modes of material nature, because that doesn't happen, let's say, until the stage of bhava. Then one is considered to be free from the influence of the three modes of material nature. And that is not absolutely free until one gives up the material world altogether and attains the spiritual body as an associate of the eternal family members in Krishna's Bhoma Lila, or in the Goloka Lila also. It may be possible. So it's an important point of concern that the Raganuga sadhaka, he may not be a Raganuga Bhavuka, or let's say a Ragmai Premika Bhakta, but he may be only a Raganuga sadhaka. Still, there's a distinction between what kind of Shraddha is generated by the association of the Raganuga sadhaka and the Vaidika sadhaka. Vaidika sadhakas, if they have not imbibed the spirit of the Acharya's teachings to the extent that they can embrace the ideal, the inclination to pursue the path of Rag Bhakti, which means to develop the kind of attachment that the Brajvasis have based on attraction to the Brajalilas. If one has not been, mercifully introduced to that path of devotional service, then he has no recourse but to engage in the process of Vaidhi sadhana bhakti under strict disciplinary rules and regulations of Shastra under the orders of Guru. So he must therefore be eligible only to create Shastra Vishvasmayi Shraddha in the hearts of the hearers. Whereas the Raganuga Sadhaka is eligible to create the Lobhamoy Shraddha in the hearts of the hearers. Generally, Rasik Vaishnavas are said to be able to easily perform that task. But as we have seen here in Bhaktivinoda Thakur's statement, that Vaidhi and Raganuga Sadhan Bhaktas, sadhakas, can instill faith in materialistic persons who have attained qualification by previous deeds. Who has attained the qualification of engendering the Rag Shraddha or the Lobhamoy Shraddha is one who has in previous lifetimes and in this lifetime also, or even only in this lifetime, it may be possible that if one has served the agents of Braja Bhakti or the Rasik Vaishnavas, some way or another, knowingly or unknowingly, he accumulates what is called as Lobhamoy Bhaktyonmokhe Sukriti. So he gets, on account of accumulation of the Sukriti, gradually strengthened in his Lobhamoy Shraddha. In this lifetime, he may get the power to pursue, by the grace of the Braja Bhaktas, the devotees coming from the realm of Braja and preaching the cult of Vrindavan all over the world, as did our Śrīla Prabhupāda, as he is topmost Rasik Vaishnava. Those who are, let's say, dull-headed, they may not be able to recognize that in Śrīla Prabhupada. But those who are having a little qualification by his grace, by his mercy, will be able to see in him something very wonderful, which opens the doors of, let's say, the kingdom of not only Godhead, but the kingdom of Brajendanandan Krishna, the kingdom of the realm of Braja. For any serious student, he gets, by Śrīla Prabhupada's mercy, the opportunity to culture the devotional service, following in the footsteps of the residents of Vrindavan, if he's serious-minded and sincere in his approach to the service of Śrīla Prabhupada. if he's insincere and wants to see something else and wants to remain attached to a lower order, either as a Vaidika Bhakta or as a Gyan Mishra or Karma Mishra Bhakta, then it may not be possible for him to actually recognize the transcendental preponderance of our Srila Prabhupada. But the truth is that Srila Prabhupada has the capacity to provide all the transcendental necessities. And in fact, he has provided all the transcendental necessities as per the inspirations in his Bhaktivedanta purports. Everything is there. Everything may not be contained in one book or another. And even it may be said that everything may not be directly seen in Srila Prabhupada's books, but when he gives an instruction to read Brihad Bhagavatam, to read Ujjvala Nilmani, to read Vidagdha Madhava or Lalita Madhava, when he gives instructions in his books to read Sri Krishna Bhavanamrita or Govinda Lilamrita, when he gives these instructions and one has the adhikar to recognize the need to follow that instruction, then when he reads those books, he will gain so much profound insight into the actual realm that Srila Prabhupada is introducing us to, that he can only, clasp the feet of Srila Prabhupada and worship him as the, you can say, the genuine, full-fledged savior of the fallen conditioned souls. So, I would like to just read something in this regard, which might be I forgot a very important book. What time is it now? I was going to read something from Vidagdha Madhava, but I left it upstairs, unfortunately, I guess. Huh? No, the door's locked. So, Hare Krishna. Is the subject matter clarifying? I hope so. Hare Krishna. Okay. Anyhow, I'm going to read something from Padma Purana in the section called Sanat Kumar Samhita. One should pray, O Shri Shri Radha Krishna, please rescue me from the ocean of birth and death. Please rescue me from the troubles born from children, friends, and home. Please break into pieces the fears of your surrendered devotee. This is Sadashiva instructing Narada Muni. So it's not an ordinary discussion we're having here. O Shri Shri Radha and Krishna, today I place at your feet myself and everything I possess, either in this life or in the next. I am the home of all offenses. I have abandoned all spiritual duties. I have no shelter. O Shri Shri Radha Krishna, O my lords, please become my shelter. O Master of Radha, I am yours. O beloved of Lord Krishna, I am yours. I offer to you both my thoughts words, and deeds. You are both the goal of my life. O Sri Sri Radha Krishna, you are like two great oceans of mercy. Please be merciful to me. I take shelter of you. I surrender to you. Please engage me, a sinner and an offender, in your service. Sadashiva continued, O best of sages, one who desires to quickly attain the direct service of the divine couple should daily recite these 5 verses. Accepting the nature of one of Sri Radha's gopi friends, one should carefully serve the divine couple day and night without ever becoming fatigued. O best of sages, I have thus told you something that is very confidential. This is the most secret of all secrets. It should be concealed with great care. To a person who once surrenders to the Lord and says, O Lord, I am yours, Lord Hari gives direct devotional service. Of this there is no doubt. Now I will tell you a very wonderful secret, a secret I directly heard from Lord Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself. In the past, I lived deep in the forest on Mount Kailash's summit. Chanting the jewel of mantras, I meditated on Lord Narayan. Pleased with me, the Lord appeared in my meditation and said, You may ask a boon. I suddenly opened my eyes, gazing at the Lord as he stood on Garuda with the goddess of fortune at his side. I bowed down again and again. Then I said to the husband of the goddess of fortune, O Supreme Controller, O Ocean of Mercy, I wish that with my own eyes I may see your original form, the best of all your forms, a form the great sages say is eternal, the giver of bliss, the abode of all bliss, beyond the modes of nature, beyond material deeds, peaceful and spiritual. Pleased with me, the husband of the goddess of fortune said to me, Today you will see the form your heart desires. Go to the place named Vrindavan, which is on the western shore of the Yamuna. After speaking these words, the master of the universes, accompanied by the goddess of fortune, suddenly disappeared. Then I went to the beautiful shore of the Yamuna. There I saw the demigod's master, Lord Krishna, who was a cowherd youth, who was charming and handsome, whose left hand was gracefully placed on his beloved Radharani's shoulder, who stood in the midst of many gopis, laughing and making them laugh, whose heart was filled with love, and who was a great palace of splendor, auspiciousness, and virtues. Smiling, Lord Krishna spoke to me these words of nectar. O Shiva, I could understand your desire. That is why I have come now before your eyes. Now you can see my original form, a form beyond the world of matter, a form filled with intense and pure love, a form eternal and filled with knowledge and bliss. O sinless one, the Upanishads, which form the crown of all the Vedas, say that I am formless, without qualities, all-pervading, inactive, and greater than the greatest. Of all my qualities, not a single one is made of matter. My qualities are all limitless and eternal. No one can understand them perfectly or completely. That is why the Upanishads say, I have no qualities. O Shiva, my form cannot be seen by material eyes. That is why the Vedas say, I am formless. With a single fragment of consciousness, I pervade everything. That is why the philosophers think I am the formless Brahman. My actions have nothing to do with the world of matter. That is why the philosophers say I am inactive. Filled with the modes of material nature, the demigods, who are my parts and parcels, create, maintain, and destroy the material universes. O Shiva, I do not create, maintain, or destroy them. O Shiva, O humble and respectful one, I am overcome with love for the gopis. I do not know anything else. I do not even know my own self. Please understand the truth of my beloved, the Supreme Goddess, Sri Radha. I enjoy pastimes with her eternally. She has conquered me with her love. O Shiva, see how hundreds and thousands of her friends surround us. As I am eternal, so are they also. My Gopa friends, parents, cows, and this land named Vrindavan are all eternal. They are spiritual, blissful, and sweet like nectar. Know that my Vrindavan is filled with bliss. One who enters it never again enters the world of birth and death. One who, after entering my forest, leaves and goes somewhere else is a great fool. O Shiva, it is as if he has killed his own soul. Of this there is no doubt. I never take even a single step out of Vrindavan. Accompanied by Sri Radha, I stay here eternally. Thus I have told you everything. O Shiva, speak what is in your heart. What more do you wish to hear? O best of sages, Narada, I then said to Lord Krishna, how can one attain you? Please tell me the way. Then Lord Krishna said to me, O Shiva, you have spoken well. I will tell you a great secret, which you should carefully conceal, O sinless one. A person renouncing all else, a person who, renouncing all else, once surrenders unto me and to Sri Radha, and worships us as the gopis worship us, attains us. No one else attains us. O Shiva, a person who surrenders to me, but not to my beloved, never attains me. This I tell you again and again. A person who once surrenders to her, Sri Radha, and tells her I am yours, attains me also simultaneously without doing anything further. Of this there is no doubt. Therefore, O Shiva, a person who desires to conquer me should surrender with all his heart to my beloved Radha. In this way, one becomes dear to me. I have spoken to you a very great secret, O Shiva. Please conceal it with great care. You also, Krishna is telling to Lord Shiva now, that you also should take shelter of my beloved Radha. Chant the 2 mantras which he had previously given to Shiva, and always stay in my abode. O King of Brahmins, I have now told you everything. Please speak. What more do you wish to hear? Sri Narada said, O spiritual master, you have answered my questions with all completeness. Now I wish to hear about the path of spiritual love, the best of all paths. Lord Shiva said, O Brahmana, who wishes the welfare of all, I will tell you a great secret. Please hear this from me. O best of sages, Lord Hari, his servants, his friends, his parents, and his beloved gopis are all eternal. They all have the same transcendental virtues. Lord Krishna's eternal pastimes in the spiritual world of Vrindavan are exactly like his manifest pastimes in earthly Vrindavan, as described in the Puranas. In the spiritual world of Vrindavan, there is the same coming and going to the forest and village of Braja, the same herding of cows, and the same friends. Only the killing of demons is absent. Thinking of him as their paramour, with hidden love, the gopis please their beloved Krishna. One should think of oneself as a beautiful young gopi girl, expert in various arts, pleasing to Lord Krishna, reluctant to directly enjoy with Lord Krishna, even if he were personally to invite you. A follower of Sri Radha, always devoted to her service, more affectionate to Sri Radha than to Lord Krishna. That means Radhika Asama Sneha Adhika, Sakhi, which is the nature of the Manjari gopis, the maidservants. Every day, carefully and affectionately arrange the meeting of Sri Radha and Krishna, and become happy to see them pleased by your services. Thinking of oneself in this way, one should serve Sri Radha and Krishna from the early morning of Brahma Muhurta to the end of night. So then Narada asked Shiva to hear about the daily eightfold pastimes of Radha and Krishna. And Lord Shiva told to Narada, Narada is saying, this is significant here for anyone who cares to know. Narada says, I wish to hear the daily pastimes of Lord Hari. How can they who do not know these pastimes serve Lord Hari in their hearts? So Narada is indicating here that it's essential to know those pastimes. Otherwise, it will not be possible for them to augment the Lord's, Braja Leelas, and the service of the Lord's Braja Leelas in his heart. So Sadashiva says that I do not know these pastimes of Lord Hari. Go to Vrinda Devi. She will tell them to you. She stays near Keshi Tirtha, which is not far from this place. So this is the proof for anyone who wants to know that Gopishwar Mahadev is this Sadashiva who eternally resides in Brajadam. When it says Keshi Tirtha is not far from this place, it means that where Gopishwar Mahadev is situated. So anyhow, she stays near Keshi Tirtha, which is not far from this place. She is surrounded by many Gopi girlfriends. She is a maidservant of Lord Krishna. So then Narada Muni went to Vrinda Devi and begged him that if it was possible to hear of these pastimes, he says, if I'm qualified to hear, please tell them to me. And then Vrinda Devi said, "O Narada, you are a devotee of Lord Krishna. Therefore, I will tell you this, the greatest of all secrets. Please do not make these words public." So therefore, I'm not going to read any further. If you want to, if you want to read it, you can download it, probably from the internet. So it has been made quite public, actually. However, just to avoid any undue criticism of, insignificant Aindra Das, we'll conclude our class by reading something. Oh, I do have it. Very good. It's only 9:35 or 9:40 or something like that. It's a little... I wanted to show something from Vidagda Madhava, which is very sweet and very interesting also. Is that all right with you? Okay. Jatila enters. Uh-oh. You know who is Jatila? Does everyone know who is Jatila? She is Radharani's stepmother, who is always suspicious that Radharani must be having some affair with that Lampata, Krishna. Jatila enters and says, "I have heard that today my daughter-in-law, Radha, is wearing a yellow upper garment. Uh-oh. I shall go and see if this is true." Of course, this is a drama. This is a play. So we will hear the different characters in the play speaking their roles. This is Rupa Goswami's, one of his most important books, Vidagda Madhava. Actually, Śrīla Prabhupāda in Chaitanya Charitamrita, after explaining the importance of doing the necessary work of becoming free from anarthas in the matter of living in Brajadam, he says, because after all, Vishaya Chadiya Shuddha Haviman Kabhi Habe Herava Shri Vrindavan. No one can actually really live in Vrindavan if he's or she is attached to material gratifications. So to actually live in Vrindavan, one should be freed from all material gratificatory pursuits. Or at least as far as possible. Everyone needs some sense gratification to maintain body and soul together, But that sense gratification should be Krishna para. Means that it should be, for example, one should only eat Krishna prasad. It may not be, let's say, in keeping with the instructions of our acharyas to drink Coca-Cola and etc. if it is not offered to Krishna. Of course, in Mathura Mahatmya, it does say that the act of eating alone in Brajadam constitutes the honoring of Krishna's Mahaprasad. But that doesn't mean that you should just eat any damn thing. The pigs are eating stool. So for them, that is Mahaprasad. The bungis are eating pigs. For them, that may be Mahaprasad. That may be equivalent, or one may get the benefit of eating the Mahaprasad. But generally speaking, devotees don't eat things which are prepared by karmis. We should satisfy ourselves with drinking water or milk, which is prepared by the Brajbasi cows, or like that. So anyhow, what were we discussing? Vishaya Chadiya Shuddha Haviman. Huh? No, Jatila, anyhow, whatever we were discussing. I was reading, but I got a little sidetracked. Why is the generator running? Making too much noise. Anyhow, she says, Jatila says that she shall go and see if it's true that what she heard, that Radharani is wearing a yellow upper garment. When she comes into the vicinity, she sees and asks that why does Vishaka wander around aimlessly? Why has she almost fainted on the porch? I shall ask her to explain this to me. So she approaches Vishaka and says, "O Vishaka, these are the first hours of the morning, and yet you are staggering around half asleep." Vishaka Devi says aside, "We have spent the entire night in the great festival of the Rasa dance. Where could we have found even the slightest trace of sleep? It is quite understandable that we stagger about like this." She forces her eyes open and says openly to Jatila, "O Arya, by the order of Bhagavati," she's lying naturally, to cover her and to cover Radharani's, trails. She says, O Arya, by the order of Bhagavati, Purnamasi, we have stayed awake all night in a vigil at the temple. Jatila aside says, aha, that's why my daughter-in-law's bed was empty last night. In other words, sometimes we can see, sometimes Jatila notices that Radharani is absent, which would be a very a problem for Radharani. So she says, that's that's why my daughter's bed was empty last night, openly. Vishaka, please call my daughter-in-law. Vishaka says, "Oh Radha, come here, come here." Radha enters. Radha wiping her eyes and yawning. "Oh Vishaka, I'm very sleepy." Opening her eyes a little, she becomes frightened as she sees Jatila Devi standing there, and says to herself, "How is it that Arya is here?" Arya is another name for Jatila Devi. Jatila, staring at Radha, says to herself, "Alas, alas, it is true. It is a yellow garment." Everybody can understand whose yellow garment it must be. Radhika, aside to Vishaka, "From the mouth of Sharangi, I heard that the old lady went in the middle of the night to the river's shore." This is also an important thing to understand. Sometimes Jatila, actually seeing that Radharani is absent from her bed, she goes out to search for Radharani, wondering where she's gone, and she's come to the shore, and she's actually entered into the rasa dance arena, or the rasa stali, ras mandal. So she's gone. Radharani is saying to Vishaka that she heard from the mouth of Sharangi that this old lady in the middle of the night went to the river shore where we were enjoying pastimes. Therefore, she quite possibly could have seen us. Is it not so? Vishaka says, no, indeed no. Vrinda gave warning of the old lady's approach, and so Krishna disappeared from that place, taking you with him. At your bidding, we two friends fearfully met the old lady when she came. Radhika then says, "Then why does she look at me with this frightening stare?" Jatila, angry, "Liar, Vishaka, have you become blind?" Vishaka says, Vishaka glances at Radha despondently and speaks aside to Radha. "O girl who is agitated to enjoy transcendental pastimes, is it this, the yellow cloth she's indicating?" Radha glances at her own chest, and then she says, "Alas, you are certainly my only shelter, Vishaka." Then Vishaka, glancing at Jatila, she says in Sanskrit, "With jubilant hearts, the young gopis playfully threw water mixed with yellow dye upon each other. This colored water has given the cloth over Radha's shoulder a yellow tint. O Arya, why do you stare at my dear friend Radhe from the corners of your crooked eyes?" Jatila, believing the story, says, "Vishaka, because of your recklessness, you almost destroyed my son's home. My daughter-in-law was brought into the midst of the gopis who were blinded by their youthful frivolity." Vishaka says, "O Arya, why do you criticize me? You may just as well criticize the glorious Diwali festival, which is coming soon, and which maddens all of Gokul, from the small children to the elderly." "You speak the truth," Jatila says. "Last night I saw all the young girls of Gokul madly doing something like that on the bank of the river." With a gesture of the eye, Vishaka looks at Radha. Jatila humbly, "O Vishaka, be merciful to me. Be merciful to me. I place the tip of my finger in my mouth, and I beg you, please be merciful to me." Vishaka humbly, "O Arya, why do you speak in this way? You may order me as you wish." In this way she's pacifying Jatila Devi. Jatila, "Child, you are very pure-hearted. For this reason I ask you, please protect my daughter-in-law from the hand of this Kana." Krishna. Vishaka, "O Arya, please be free of all anxiety. Lalita is very expert and intelligent in these matters." Jatila says, "Where is Lalita now?" Vishaka, "Look." Vishaka says, "Look, she's coming here with Padma." Padma is Chandravali's friend. So Lalita, it's interesting that Lalita and Padma would be walking in together at the same time, conversing with each other. Lalita says, "Sakhi Padma, from where have you come? Padma says, oh, I have come from the presence of Kana, Krishna. Kana means Krishna. Lalita, where is Kana? He is by the edge of the Malati garden. Lalita says, what is he doing? Padma, he is sporting with Madhu Mangala. Lalita, with a joking smile, he is fulfilling all your desire. Has he fulfilled all your desires then? With a joking smile, Lalita saying that to Padma. Padma laughing, don't think otherwise. I offered Kana a crown of malati flowers I had strung together. Kana said to me, oh Padma, you always give me flower garlands. In the same way, Lalita always gives me splendidly colored mineral pigments. Please place this letter in her hand. Then she gives the letter that Kana had written to Lalita Devi. Krishna is saying that Padma, you always give me flower garlands. In the same way, Lalita always gives me splendidly colored mineral pigments. Please place this letter in her hand. So then Lalita, taking the letter, she says to herself, I have never given mineral pigments to Kana. What is this? There must be some other secret meaning in these words. She reads the letter out loud. O restless-eyed girl, please place in my hand a large quantity of mineral pigments from the mountain. Note, the word mineral pigments are in Sanskrit, what is it? Ragi dhatu. That means mineral pigments. Large quantity of mineral pigments. So if you take only the first syllable of each word, it means Ra, Da. So she's saying, please, she's telling to Padma, so Padma won't become Padma actually serves as a messenger by making the arrangements, for Radha, who was the adversary, you could say, of Chandravali, who's Padma's own, dear girlfriend. So she would never think to do such a thing, but somehow or other Krishna has used her in that way to fulfill his innermost desires. So, reflecting, where is it? Yes, reflecting for a moment, she says to herself, Lalita says to herself, these words actually mean, please place Radha in my hand. This is a request for a meeting with Radha, openly. Oh Saki, I shall certainly do this. I'll put the mineral pigments, Now you please approach Radhika and satisfy her with your inquiries. So Padma approaches Radha and says with a playful smile, O Radhe, by good fortune, there is no rivalry or dispute between us. Formerly, the son of the king of Gokul stole our garments, but now you yourself has stolen his own yellow garment. She's saying that right in Jatila's presence, to try to defame Srimati Radharani. So Lalita is smiling, oh shameless girl, my friend's upper cloth is dyed yellow with kumkum. Why do you suspect my friend of doing something improper? Padma smiling, she says, oh Radhe, please give me permission to depart. After having quickly returned to Saki Stali, which is Chandravali's place, I shall please my Priya Saki Chandravali by glorifying the pastimes of Kana. Vishaka laughing says, oh Padme, you are fortunate. Your own friend Chandravali becomes happy by hearing songs of the pastimes of Kana, even when she does not get to see him. Padma says, Vishaka, why do you not also do this? Vishaka says, how could we be able to do like that? Padma says, why not? Vishaka, oh charming girl, my friend Radhika becomes agitated simply by the sound of the name of Kana. She doesn't have to become happy by hearing pastimes of Kana. She becomes agitated simply by hearing the name of Kana. Padma aside says, she is proclaiming the excellence of her own friend's prema. So be it, openly. O Vishaka, you all are certainly genuinely happy. Please, indeed, there is some unhappiness in our condition. Ours means Chandravali's condition. Padma's Shaibya Chandravali. Lalita says, Padme, it is impossible that you could be feeling any unhappiness. Padma, oh Lalita, don't speak in this way, because we are constantly in Chandravali's dressing room decorating her bimba fruit lips with red cosmetics, stringing garlands and arranging her hair. Our suffering is a great network that has no end. Vishaka, laughing, says, Oh Padma, it is true. You and your friends have many sufferings. I and my friends have only one. Vishaka says, on the bank of the river, Padma says, oh, what is that? And Vishaka answers, on the bank of the river of Kalindi, there is an intoxicated, regal young elephant who is constantly enjoying pastimes there. He is very difficult to attain, just like a star shining in the sky. Radha is always tormented by the desire to attain him. Then Lalita says, smiling, she says, Oh Vishaka, there is one more very severe suffering. How have you forgotten it? Vishaka says, Lalita, what is it? Please remind me. Lalita says, Oh simple girl, it is that moment by moment we're continually applying Yavaka cosmetics to the flower blossoms of Radha's feet. Vishaka laughs, Oh crooked liar, Lalita, stop. Radha's feet are anointed with the mineral pigments from Kana's head. They are not anointed with Yavaka cosmetics. Radhika, embarrassed, says, Oh Padma, don't listen to the words of these foul-mouthed girls. Just go at once to your Priyasaki Chandravali. Padma says, as my Priyasaki orders, and she exits. So, yes, I just remembered what it was that I was discussing with the point of becoming freed from material sense gratification in the matter of living in Braja. That is that in the same purport in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Prabhupada says that actually living in Vrindavan means to take shelter of the 6 Goswamis by reading the literatures left by them, such as Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Vidagdha Madhava, Lalit Madhava, and many others. So Prabhupada says that actually living in Vrindavan means to take shelter of the 6 Goswamis by reading their literatures. So, anyway, this just gives a little... I'm not a very good reader or public orator as such, but I thought that maybe we should just take a peek at what Vidagdha Madhava, has in store for us. And this is just like a little drop of what Rupa Goswami's contribution to the Gaudiya literary world is all about. So just Because the Rasalila chapters are concluding soon. Rasa Panchadhyaya is concluding soon. So I just thought that I should, let's say, hammer in the nail a little more. That the purpose of this presentation of Krishna's Rasa Leela with the gopis, as is mentioned in the answer to the question of Maharaj Parikshit in today's verse, he's asked that he's asking, please explain to us what is the purpose of the self-satisfied Lord of the Yadus and behaving so contemptibly, or apparently contemptibly, by dancing with the wives of others and touching the wives of others. So in answer, it is mentioned that by hearing these pastimes, people will be attracted to Krishna and surrender to Krishna, and they will be enchanted primarily, especially the aspiring Madhurya Bhaktas. They will be enchanted by the prospects of having the fulfillment of their innermost desires to serve Radha and Krishna by gaining entrance into the Rasalila pastimes with the eternal associate gopis. So it is not that we are to ignore this point and think that the things are not meant for us. Of course, different devotees will have different spiritual predilection in the matter of culturing any one of the 5 primary rasas in the realm of Braja. But especially for the Madhurya Bhaktas, these chapters are the greatest inspiration, and they are meant to be worshipped and, served. They're meant to be served, worshipped and served, with a view and a hope and aspiration agreed to attain a similar perfection as did the sages of Dandakaranya, as did the Shruti Devis, etc. So this is something that we can just Krishna says, because after all, athak Shri Krishna namadi nabhaved grayamindriyai sevan mukhe hi jivado swayam eva spratyada. Is mentioned that Krishna's name and form, namadi means beginning with the name, form, qualities and pastimes, cannot be understood by materially contaminated senses. But they can be understood when one engages the senses, beginning with the tongue, in chanting the name, chanting the qualities, and chanting about Krishna's form and pastimes, etc., then these things can, by hearing and chanting, by engaging in devotional service, one can gradually enter into the truth about the secrets of Krishna's loving affairs with his devotees. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita that Naham Prakasha Sarvasya Yoga Maya Samavrita Mudoyam Navijananti Lokoyam Ajam Avyayam. I'm reading here from Srila Prabhupada's Krishna book. From his book called Matchless Gifts, Krishna Consciousness, the Matchless Gift. And he quotes this saying that Krishna is saying that I'm never manifest to the foolish and unintelligent. For them I'm covered by my eternal creative potency, Yogamaya. Thus, the deluded world knows me not, whom unborn and infallible. So Prabhupada mentions that this eternal creative potency, or Yogamaya, which obscures Krishna to the unintelligent, is dissolved by love. This is the verdict of the Brahma Samhita. And he quotes Premanjana Charita Bhakti Vilochanena Santak Sadaiva Hridayeshu Vilokayanti. One who has developed love for Krishna can see him within his heart 24 hours a day. Those who thus see Krishna are not anxious because they know where they are going at death. One who has taken the gift of Krishna consciousness knows that he will not have to return to this material world to take another material body, but that he will go to Krishna. It is not possible to go to Krishna unless one attains a body like Krishna's, a Satchit Ananda Vigraha body, a body full of eternity, knowledge, and bliss. One cannot enter into fire and not perish unless he himself becomes fire. And similarly, one cannot enter into the spiritual realm in a body that is not spiritual. In a spiritual body, one can dance with Krishna in the rasa dance. Srila Prabhupada is entreating us, encouraging us. Go there and find out what it's like. He says, in a spiritual body, one can dance with Krishna in the rasa dance. Like the gopis and the cowherd boys, they also dance with Krishna. Maybe not in that rasa dance, but during the daytime pastimes, they also dance with Krishna and have great fun. This is not an ordinary dance, but the dance of eternity in the association of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Only those who have become purified in their love for Krishna can participate in it. Therefore, one should not take this process of Krishna consciousness as something cheap, but as a matchless gift bestowed upon suffering humanity by the Lord Himself. Simply by engaging in this process, all the anxieties and fears of life, which in actuality revolve about the fear of death, are allayed. Here, Srila Prabhupada entreats us, enchants us, challenges us to go back home, back to Godhead. Krishna consciousness movement, what does movement mean? Movement means not only to move all over the world, to effect the progressive horizontal expansion of this movement, in quotes, in the physiological sense, by constructing big temples and so many of such, let's say, preaching programs. That's all right. But also, and especially, Krishna consciousness movement means to individually and collectively, as far as possible, move, in quotes, toward the ultimate aim of this Krishna consciousness movement. To approach Radha and Krishna and associate with the Supreme Lord in his sublime pleasure dance, which is discussed by Narottam Das Thakur in his song Manashiksha. In his song Manashiksha, in the purport, Prabhupada discusses this. I know I'm not qualified. Who can say that they're qualified? Here we are sitting in these corporeal bodies, of blood, flesh, and stool. So what qualification do we have? If I were to enter the rasa dance in my present condition, with my pot belly, sparking red whiskers, burning cinder-like eyes, and smoking ears. I'm reading from a little something I wrote one time. This was a message to some of my GBC God brothers. I would probably scare everybody away. But I'll never give up the hope of one day ultimately achieving that cherished goal of my life for the pleasure of my Guru by his grace, even if it takes me millions and millions of lifetimes. So, in that regard, we should have a little look also at what Prabodhananda Saraswati Thakur has to say about Manjari Bhav. We've discussed this before, but I just want to close the class with these thoughts because there's some really nice things. This is from his, you can say, Radha Bhagavat. You can say that it is the Radha Bhagavat. And it is called as Radha Rasa Sudhanidhi. It is the Bhagavatam. Just like Krishna, the Bhagavatam is sometimes the book of Krishna book. But this is Radha book. So, this describes this verse. I'm going to read a few different verses just to give you an idea. Of course, it should be taken in the context of every other thing which is describing the sweetness, beauty, and purity of the Manjari's Bhava. But it should also be noted, because we're discussing the Rasa Leela chapters, actually the sages of Dandakaranya, who worship goddess Katyayani and who gained the eligibility to go to Ras Mandal and dance with Krishna in the Rasa dance, were Manjaris. The sages of Dandakaranya became Manjaris. This describes the maidservant's resolute devotional loyalty to Sri Radha. Krishna says, "This maidservant is the object of mercy for the mistress of my life." Thus thinking, he kisses me, embraces me. This is the Manjari saying this. Prabodhananda in his relishment of the Manjari Bhav, he is saying that thus he kisses me, embraces me, makes me go wild by the honey wine of intoxicating amorous pleasure pastimes, behaving with a most astonishingly wonderful increase of specially attentive affection toward me. Yet still, O Radhe, my mind only remains absorbed in the amazing rasa pastimes of your lotus feet. Just see, this shows how the Bhavalas Rati of the Manjari is not, you can say, lost. or defiled in any way. Although Krishna is kissing the manjari, as it's also evidenced in Bhavanamrita during the honey wine drinking pastimes at Radhakund in the midday Lilas. Although he's kissing, embracing, and making the manjari go wild by the honey wine of intoxicating, amorous pleasure pastimes. And although he's behaving, Krishna is behaving with a most astonishingly wonderful increase of especially attentive affection for me, still, Sri Radhe, my mind only remains absorbed in the amazing rasa pastimes of your lotus feet. Why? Because those amazing rasa pastimes of her lotus feet are inclusive of her experiencing 10 million times the bliss of her own meeting with Krishna by making the arrangements for others to meet with Krishna. So she's absorbed in that pleasure of Radha, which, because her rati is, imbued with that Bhava Ulas, or the awakening of the Bhava of her Priya Sakhi in her heart, she's experiencing 10 million times the happiness of what she would be experiencing if she would try to meet Krishna directly. She's not meeting Krishna directly. That means that she's meeting Krishna through the mercy of her guru and mistress, her queen, Srimati Radharani. But not just meeting Krishna through the mercy, but meeting Krishna for her pleasure. Because she's absorbed in Radha's pleasure, and because she's because her pleasure is dependent on Radha's pleasure. Just like Radha, her pleasure is dependent on Krishna's pleasure, and her distress is dependent on Krishna's distress. Just like it may be said, as mentioned by Mahaprabhu in Chaitanya Charitamrita, where he's quoting Radha's mood in her saying that if my pleasure brings Krishna, if my personal happiness brings Krishna distress, then that so-called happiness becomes the cause of my greatest distress. And if my personal distress brings Krishna pleasure, then that distress, my personal distress, becomes the cause of my greatest happiness. That actually I have no way of judging what is happiness or distress outside the consideration of Krishna's happiness and distress. So similarly, the Radhika Asamasne Adhika Sakhis, that means the Sakhis of Radha, who are having more affection to Radha than Krishna, they really have no way of understanding happiness outside the consideration of Radha's happiness or Radha's distress. Similarly, they have no way of understanding what is distress. So, this is some very important insight into the actual implications, the deepest implications of Manjari Tattva, and how the Manjaris are prepared, surrendered to do any service for the pleasure of Radha, even if it means serving the transcendental senses of Krishna for her pleasure, on her order. under her divine dispensation. This verse shows the maidservant's ecstatic mood of devout resolution to the feet of Radha. If out of affection, Radhe, you ordered me to go to your beloved and play the role of a lusty love thief, then please hear my resolute conviction. I will glance at him through the corners of my eyes while smiling mildly, and with all my limbs excitedly enraptured, I will forcefully lock him in a robust embrace, all the while relishing the mellows of your lotus feet. This is because she's realizing, the supreme mercy of her queen. In the matter of giving her the opportunity to do some humble menial service at her lotus feet. Now this is a very good one. This is a good one for us today. The best of variegated ornaments, brilliant silken dress, and magnificent corset, nicely decorated by her girlfriends, with tilak, perfumes, and flower garlands too, who has completely mastered all self-taught arts of music and dance. When will our Swamini allow us entrance into the beautiful Rasa festival of sweetness? When? Nice jeweled waist bells, bangles, anklets, decorated by the best of ornaments, the great circle of dancing sweetness, astounding pastimes, while enjoying the Rasa festival. Although we are dancing with our beloved Sri Krishna's strong arms about our necks, still we will only look towards the footprints of our Raseshwari, Sri Radha. Seeing my devotion, Krishna's loving treatment of Radhika's unflinching servitor. So don't worry. It's not that if you surrender yourself to the service of Sri Radhika and become her menial maidservant, that you'll miss out on anything. Sometimes some devotees, they preach that the Manjaris never have any contact with Krishna. This is a very elementary discussion on Manjari Tattva. Of course, sometimes it may be required so as to snuff out any, let's say, Purusha Abhiman that may be residual within the consciousness of the sadhaka, so as to pointedly direct the sadhaka to an exclusive service attitude toward the feet of Radha, by which all these things may be possible. Because it is only by the satisfaction of Radha that the Manjari becomes eligible to enter into her confidence. When she becomes such a confidential maidservant of Radha, then Radha makes all the arrangements for her to do any service at the lotus feet of Krishna. Just like we practice serving Krishna for the pleasure of our Guru. Higher than pleasing Krishna is pleasing our Guru. So similarly, it manifests to the superlative degree. Higher than pleasing Krishna is pleasing Radha. Higher than pleasing Radha is pleasing Lalita Devi. Higher than pleasing Lalita Devi is pleasing Rupa Manjari and Ananga Manjari. In this way, we can understand how to enter into the pleasure pastimes or the love dalliances between Krishna and his gopi girlfriends, which the Madhurya Bhakta aspires to become. Seeing my devotion to the lotus feet of Radha, immovable, unalloyed, freed from cheating, he is charmed with a love unlimitedly more than he feels even for his own devotees. Embracing me, kissing me, offering chewed betel nut from his mouth, putting his own forest garland around my neck. When, oh when, will the most enchanting Mohan behave like this toward me? Whatever nectarine lake of rasa, overflowing with Govinda Katha, cultivated within my consciousness, and whatever days are passed in singing the glories of his qualities and worshipping him with nice decorations and ornaments, and whatever unalloyed loving affection I have established amongst his dearmost loving devotees, may all these activities give pleasure to the life-giving beloved of Nanda's dear son, Sri Radhika. This is the mood. This is Radhika Asamasneyadika. And there's a couple more. Millions of the best. This is the unlimited power of Radha Bhajan, or the worship of Srimati Radharani. Millions of the best methods of regulated devotional service. Millions of the best methods of regulated devotional practice become rejectable as garbage for one who daily absorbs in hearing and chanting the name of Radha. Millions of the topmost goals of human existence stand ready to worship the timeless nectar of Radha's lotus feet. Millions of brilliantly divine desire trees are always present in the playground forest of Radha's lotus feet. Millions of amazing mystic perfections lie heaped up and uncared for at the feet of Sri Radha's maidservants. Some advocate the doctrine of oneness with impersonal Brahman, or it says impersonal beatitude. Bravo. Others are maddened with the divine happiness of offering prayers to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Still others taste and relish the matchless supreme bliss of friendship with Govinda, of parental affection, or of conjugal love. But, mind you, Sri Radha's maidservants feel the exclusively topmost limit of the astonishingly creamy essence of the sum total of all ecstatic joy simply by a single ray of the sportive live network auras sparkling from the brilliant toenail jewels of her precious lotus feet. Your Honor, my case is closed. I close my case. Hare Krishna. Now it's almost 10:30. I've done it again. Please forgive me, excuse me. Are there any questions or comments or any kind of discussion at all? No discussion? Everybody's hungry and don't know how they're going to get prasad now that it's an hour and a half prasad, beyond prasadam time.
There's a lot of other things to digest.
Yeah. No, she makes arrangement for all of her girlfriends, but their moods are different. Specifically, the mood of the manjari is the resolute determination to serve her lotus feet by anything that they do. Some of the Sakhis are Krishna asamasneyadika, which means they have more attachment to the consideration of Krishna's pleasure. And some of them, like Lalita Vishaka, who are Parampreshta Sakhis, they have equal attachment. They are Radha Krishna Samasneyadika Sakhis. So sometimes they serve Krishna for his pleasure, sometimes they serve Krishna for Radharani's pleasure, sometimes they serve Radha for Krishna's pleasure, sometimes they serve Radharani for Radharani's pleasure. But the Nitya Sakhis and the Pran Sakhis, they always serve whoever they serve for Radharani's pleasure. So there's some difference in the disposition, which is important to understand in the matter of say cultivating the Madhurya Ras. Because otherwise that we may be confounded in the matter of such cultivation on account of our inability to, for example, see the distinction between the mood of the Swakiya consort of Krishna and the Parakiya consort of Krishna. So it's necessary to see these distinctions so that we can align our mentality with that which will be productive of the desired result. If we desire, for example, to culture the mood of Kubja, we can do so, but we have to be prepared to stay within the material world and serve as one of her friends, in the Bhaumalilas of Mathura only, and we will not get entrance into the Brajalilas, and so many things like that. So similarly, in the matter of cultivating even the Braja Bhakti, there are different types of let's say, Madhurya bhavas. Some of them are the culture of the Nayika bhav, and some of them are culture of Sakhi bhav. And then in the Sakhi bhav, there are different types of Sakhi bhav. But that Sakhi bhav which is advocated and which had been, propagated by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in the matter of his distributing that which was never distributed before, that Sakhi bhav is called as, Radhika Asamasneyadika Sakhi bhav. So that is the mood of the Manjaris. And that is called as Bhavalasrati, and that Bhavalasrati is the supreme, you could say, succulently sweet mood of loving service to Krishna. As Krishna, he extols that higher than service to me is service to my devotee. Higher than service. So, therefore, we want to search out that, which is being propagated by the Madhurya Bhaktas coming in our Acharya Parampara from Rupa Goswami and from Janavamata. Janavamata is the Samstapakacharya of our Diksha Pranali, and Rupa Manjari or Rupa Goswami is the founder or the father, you can say, of our Bhagavad Shiksha Sampradaya. I can't hear the question. How do we serve whom? That can be done, but you should know that the highest service is to serve the instructions of A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Śrīla Prabhupāda, who is both our Diksha and Shiksha Guru, in that he is the representative of both our Diksha Sampradaya and our Shiksha Sampradaya. Mostly he advocated Rupanuga Bhajan, but at the same time we should not overlook the power of our Diksha mantras and the mercy coming in that form from our Diksha Sampradaya, which is coming from Nitai and Janava, who are the embodiment of Ananga Manjari Tattva. It is only by the mercy of Lord Nityananda that service to the lotus feet of Radha and Krishna in the mood of Radha Dasyam was spread all over the world. This is stated by Vrindavan Das Thakur in his Sri Chaitanya Bhagavat. So we shouldn't underestimate the power and mercy of our Diksha Sampradaya, in that both Diksha and Shiksha Guru are equal manifestations of the mercy of Krishna. So it's not that we only, it's just like the train track, has two rails. So the Diksha Marg is there, or the Pancharatrika Marg is there, and the Bhagavat Marg is there. So we rely on both. However, Prabhupada did say that if for any reason one or the other Vidi, because there's the Pancharatrika Vidi and there's the Bhagavat Vidi, if one of them has to be relinquished, then one should not relinquish the Bhagavat Vidi. In other words, the Bhagavat Vidi, or the Bhagavat, let's say, Sampradaya, which propounds Bhagavat Dharma, is the most important. But we can always, it's not that we have to have a deity. Sometimes the deity is helpful in helping to remind us of our connection, so that we can again and again see that connection, and that vision purifies our heart and establishes within our heart the principle of being, das anudas, or dasi dasi anudasi, as it were, of the lotus feet of the maidservants of Radha. So in that way, it's possible to worship within the heart without necessarily having a deity. However, if someone sees the utility in serving the deity form, so as to augment a sense of direct service to the Guru Parampara, then you may have a deity of Śrīla Prabhupada, you may have a deity of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, you may have a deity of Bhaktivinoda Thakur, you may have a deity ultimately, of Rupa Goswami, you may have a deity of Rupa Manjari, you may have a deity of Ananga Manjari, or you may have a deity of after all, we're having deities of Radha, we're having deities of Krishna, so there's nothing wrong And having a deity is just depending on how much you want to complicate your life. Because having a deity means taking a certain responsibility, which is a lifelong responsibility. If having the deity helps to remind you of the principle, then it is very good to have the deity. We'll have as many deities. I have more than 375 deities in my room. At least 375 deities. And as far as I'm concerned, if I can have a deity in every corner of my room and pictures all over, if it helps me to remember Krishna, and then I'll worship, thousands of deities. But, that may complicate my life, so there's a limit. So you have to be intelligent enough to understand